What if the biggest reward of your life was hiding inside the problem you just walked past? On a quiet morning, in an old kingdom where dust rose gently from the roads and merchants shouted their prices in crowded markets, something unusual appeared. Right in the middle of the busiest road to the capital, a massive boulder blocked the path. It looked as if it had fallen from the sky during the night. Carts couldn't pass, horses had to stop, travelers were forced to squeeze around it. Hidden behind a line of trees, dressed like an ordinary man, the king stood silently, watching. He had placed the stone there himself, and now he waited. The first to arrive were wealthy merchants. Their wagons were stacked with silk, spices, and shining goods from faraway lands. When they reached the boulder, they stopped abruptly. One merchant threw up his hands. "What kind of kingdom is this?" he snapped. "Does the king expect us to clear the roads ourselves?" Another grumbled. They shook their heads, steered their wagons around the stone, and continued on their way, complaining loudly as they disappeared down the road. Behind the trees, the king said nothing. He simply watched. Next came the royal courtiers, riding fine horses and dressed in elegant robes. "What an embarrassment," one of them said. "This road should be spotless," another replied with disgust. They didn't touch the stone. They didn't even slow down. They rode around it, their pride too heavy to let their hands get dirty. The king's face grew more serious. More people passed, travelers, traders, servants, even soldiers. Each one noticed the boulder. Each one complained, but not a single person tried to move it. The stone stayed exactly where it was, right in the middle of the road, like a silent test. Then, as the sun climbed higher, a peasant appeared at the far end of the road. His clothes were simple, his sandals were worn. A heavy sack of vegetables hung over his shoulder. He walked slowly, humming to himself, until he reached the boulder. He stopped. For a moment, he simply stared at it. He looked at the narrow space where others had squeezed past. He imagined carts tipping over, old people struggling to walk around it, children tripping. He let out a quiet sigh. "Well, this shouldn't be here." He gently lowered his sack to the ground, rolled up his sleeves, and placed both hands on the cold, rough stone. He pushed. Nothing happened. He adjusted his feet, took a deeper breath, and pushed again. The muscles in his arms tightened, his face strained, sweat formed on his forehead. Still, the stone refused to move. For a second, he looked like he might give up, but instead, he stepped back, wiped his hands on his trousers, and tried again, with all his strength. The boulder shifted slightly. A deep scraping sound echoed across the road. His eyes lit up. He pushed again, and again, and again. His back ached, his hands trembled, his breathing grew heavy, but he didn't stop, until finally, with one last desperate shove, the boulder rolled off the road and into the grass. Silence filled the air. The road was clear. The peasant collapsed to his knees, breathing hard, a tired smile spreading across his face. "There, that's better," he whispered. He stood up and walked back to pick up his vegetables. But as he bent down, something caught his eye. Right where the boulder had been lay a small leather purse. He picked it up. It felt heavy. Slowly, he opened it. Gold coins, dozens of them, shining in the sunlight. His hands began to shake. He had never seen so much wealth in his life. Inside the purse was a folded note. He opened it carefully and read, "These gold coins are for the one who removed the boulder from the road, the king." The peasant looked around in disbelief. Behind the trees, the king smiled quietly. At last he had found someone who didn't just complain about the problem, but solved it. That day, everyone faced the same obstacle, but only one man saw it as an opportunity. Now think about your own life. What boulder
have you been walking around instead of moving? Share your answer in the comments and send this story to someone who needs the courage to push their obstacle today.